Hello, my name is Omri. I run a company called Agoda. Thank you for having me. I hope you can see the presentation coming. So I can, while we're trying to bring the presentation on, I'll start by telling you a few words about me, just very quickly. Thank you so much. Here we have it. So I am an Israeli. It's not very common you see an Israeli dressed in Indian clothes. When I grew up, thank you. When I grew up, I thought I'd be a physicist. I actually have a bachelor and master degree in physics. I thought I'd build quantum computers. I was 20 years early. So I think nowadays it's very hot to build a quantum computer. Back then, not so much. So I started doing programming, went through the IT and tech route, managed a lot of developers, and at a certain point started my own company, moved to San Francisco, raised a lot of money, and eventually sold my company to an amazing company called Booking Holdings. What they told me is, go, we have this company in Asia called Agoda, very early stages, growing very fast, go see what you can do there. And grew there, and in the last 3 years, the CEO of Agoda. Amazing journey. I'll tell you a little bit more about Agoda in a second. One more thing to know about me, other than the fact that I'm the CEO of Agoda, I'm also a world traveler. When I travel, it's usually with my wife and my 2 young partners. I haven't taken them to India yet, but you have my commitment here that we're going to fix it in 2025. This is what you need to know about Agoda. We are the biggest online traveling agency in APAC. Usually we exclude China from that, so China is their own realm. And we are the most downloaded OTA app. We have more than 90 million monthly active users. And this entire thing is growing very fast. So in the last 10 years, I would like to say it's ever since I joined the company, but obviously it had a little bit, I want to hope that it had a little bit with me, but generally speaking, the company has been grown 10x. I apologize, some of the charts will have just the trend and not the numbers. We are a public company, certain information we cannot share. I wanted to come here and talk to you about India, specifically inbound to India, and specifically inbound to India from APAC. I want to tell you things, hopefully, that you don't know. Let me start by telling you things that you do know very quickly, and then go to the don't know. You know, India is a huge market in general, but you also know, a huge travel market, but you also know that it's in the top 10. So it's not as a travel market, it's not yet, taking the fair share. We all hope it will get there. You know that as an aviation market, domestic aviation market, India is top 3. So third only after the US and China. So there we are where India should be, and maybe even higher than that. You know that there is significant investment by the government in the India infrastructure. Airports through the Udan scheme. Again and again, there is a commitment through the union budget to grow online penetrations, attractions, etc. You know all of that. And also something very interesting is that India has a USP. USP is unique selling point. India wants to attract travelers around religion, inspiration, religious sites. Which is great. It's great to have a unique selling point, but and I also think it's a very good unique selling point for India. Many travelers will come to India because of that selling point. But once you have that, the next stage is to promote it, and I think this is the stage where India is. India gets about 12 million travelers inbound every year. India has aspirations to make that number 100 million, which is big aspirations. That's a very small number in comparison with the domestic market. But on average, every inbound traveler spends 65x more than a domestic traveler. So clearly, if India can do that, that will have a huge impact on the economy of the country and on the GDP. All right, so now let's go to things that I think you know less. I wouldn't say don't know less. And I'm going to use a lot of insights from Agoda to teach you about them. And I go quickly through the insights that I want to convey. You all heard about AI and tech and how they revolutionize the world and how they are supposed to or about to revolutionize the world even further. What I didn't think maybe was not clear enough is how that trend is expediting. So it's not only happening, it's happening faster and faster, and I'll explain why and how. I'll show you that India, despite all those headwinds and investments, still have a huge gap versus other countries that attract travelers, especially APAC travelers. I'll show you that the travelers that you attract are very diverse, and you cannot look at them as the same traveler. Different types of travelers, they require different type of treatment, and the people that can have these treatments are the people that will win with those types of travelers. I show you the travelers that's a general trend, book more and more what we call a connected trip. So they would book more than one vertical with the same platform, with the same online platform. And I'll explain why it's important for your business and how do you lean into that trend. And last, we'll talk about repeat rates. I'll show you how APAC travelers repeat. I'll show you that unfortunately they don't repeat that much to India yet. And we'll talk about what we need to do in order to improve that. So let's get going. AI, you heard a lot about AI, so I'm not going to tell you how it revolutionizes customer support, how it revolutionizes interfaces, etc. I want to say two things. One, in Agoda, Agoda is a very tech company. I'm a techie standing here talking to you. One of the things that I track is the amount of code, lines of code, written by AI as we speak. The amount of code is tremendous. You have the numbers here. And it's growing pretty robustly, quarter over quarter. And what does it mean? It means that we can, a developer can, with their time, write a lot more, do a lot more, which means that we see an expediting number of features that we can ship. An integration to a new provider used to take us a few months, take us maybe 10 days today, just so you'd understand. Adding a user feature takes us a couple of days, used to be a couple of weeks, right? Those things are accelerating really, really fast, which means that we can do a lot more. I want to talk about the interfaces. This is another area that you can see this, everything expediting. Like, think about things as simple as filtering or sorting your search results when you're looking for something. In the past, we used to think, what will the customer want to filter about, and then build this feature. Today we have concepts we call smart filters, so you can tell us whatever you want. I want to filter about this and that, and it can be super personalized. We do it on the fly with our data and give you the results. All sorts of things that we could never do 5 or even 3 years ago. I would argue even 12 years ago it would be very, very hard. Today I wouldn't say it's easy, but it's much more easier. These are all examples for you to understand that the pace of development of everything, it's not only AI, everything is expediting. What does it mean for you? I'd say two things. Ask the question, and you heard it in previous presentations. Ask the questions, how can you use this technology in your business? Because the people that won't use it will stay behind. And the second thing, consumers will grow to expect all of those AI features. So whoever you choose as distribution partners, as partners in general, ask yourself, how are they doing on that field? How advanced they are? Because the people that won't be advanced in offering those services to consumers will be left behind. The days in which we'll have, I keep saying, you know, for those of you that watch the movie Her, with the personal assistant that does everything for you, or Jarvis from Iron Man, the days of having those are coming and coming faster than you think. And the people that invest now will be the people that get last there. Don't stay behind. All right, I wanted to show you that this is searches on Agoda. The ratio is relatively correct, even though we removed the overall numbers. And you see the year-over-year growth at the bottom. So you can see that India still gets much less searches than other APAC destinations. And not only much less searches, it grows less than other APAC destinations. So what's the takeaway here? What should you do? So here I have 3 words. One is removal of friction. What you have in the right is, this is the searches of Indians going to Thailand when Thailand removed the visa restrictions on Indian travelers. We saw a 30% bump over a couple of days, right? So anytime you have a visa restriction, when you go to this website, many of you probably don't do it, and try to fill your details in order to go to India, the amount of friction is incredible. Every time you remove it, it's amazing what it does to the amount of travelers coming in. And you don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to look at other countries that are very good at it and see what they've done. Look at the likes of Singapore, state of the art. Just do what they do. Not very complicated. Look at Singapore, do what they do. So across the board, if you can remove friction, that will help. 2, online and order. What do I mean by that? I'll give you an example. I recently, about 3 months ago, I visited the Golden Temple in Punjab, in Amritsar. Amazing place, by the way. I said I'm Israeli. I lived in Jerusalem. I've seen my fair share of religious destination. This is one of the most beautiful places I've seen on the planet. However, completely inaccessible. The only reason why I could visit this place is because of a very good Indian friend who is from there that took me in, showed me the places. I cannot imagine a Japanese traveler getting in and getting the experience. Cannot. India has to solve that, and I know India is thinking about it. But it's about bringing things online and making them in an order that the people that are not know somebody on the ground can still get in and get the experience. So it's a huge, it also touches friction, it touches online. You have to go past that point, and then the travelers will come. Third thing is promotion. So you have a USP. Money should go to promote India USP in all the places of people that are coming, and I'm sure that we'll see more and more of that happening in the next years. Next trend is your travelers, and here I'm looking at APAC, the European or Western travelers tend to be a little bit more homogeneous. When you look at Asian travelers, they are very, very, very different. Your travelers come from many, many countries, Malaysia, Singapore. This is the share on Agoda and how much they grow. You cannot deal with all those travelers the same. I want to show you what we do in Agoda. One of our claim for fames in Agoda, one of the things that we believe is our secret sauce, and one of the reasons why we grew the way we grew, is that we have a very different platform everywhere, right? And we localize not only the UX, the user experience, we localize also the marketing. Who are we using? How are we using? What channels are we using? We localize payments. Imagine somebody trying to attract an Indian traveler without offering phone pay, right? Imagine that it's not gonna work as well as if they can do that. And also we use heavily partnerships with governments and all sorts of other entities. I'll give you an example. In a country like the US, maybe something you don't know, a lot of the travel bookings are happening where? On banks. Something that most people, it's very unique to the US at this point in time. Why? Because US is very heavy on loyalty, and a lot of those customers have credit cards and points that they earn from those banks, and the banks offer portals with discounted travel. So an amazing portion of travel is happening on bank websites. What do? We provide the tech. We provide the B2B tech for them for travel bookings, right? So that's an example how you need to find the customer in every place at a different place. What does it mean for you? A couple of things. First of all, again, when you think about your distribution, lean, especially in the Asian side, lean into channels that know how to localize to the consumers. The Asian consumer is not a one-size-fits-all. That doesn't work here. We know that very, very well. Secondly, as hotel owners, as hotel operators, ask the question, what can I do to give those people the reason to believe that I'm familiar with them, that they are home? And it can be something as small as a menu item. Obviously, accessing the payments, allowing them to pay with their own personal payment options. It's a big thing. But can be other things, can be a translation here and there. Those small things will make the difference of choice for those people. And the people that will do that well, or the properties that will do that well, are the ones that will attract those customers. So again, it's a big trend that you need to think about, especially with the rise of these Asian travelers coming into India. Next trend. This is interesting. It started picking up very, very rapidly since COVID. Travelers tend to bundle with the same provider. So I can tell you in Agoda, and you have it over there, from 23 to 24, the amount of people that will book more than one product with us doubled. So they will book the flight and the hotel, or the hotel and the attraction, sometimes a restaurant, sometimes ground transport. That doubles, right? More and more we see, and I can tell you this line ends in December 2024, but I look at the numbers in January and February, and it's actually expediting the trend that you are seeing there. What does it mean for you? Oh, by the way, there's another thing that I wanted to show you is that we looked at on a like-for-like comparison between properties that have package rates, dynamic package rates, and don't have dynamic package rates. And the ones that have dynamic package rates are typically making 15% more booking and 13% more revenue. Why? I think it's because of that trend. And that trend is not only for us, for Agoda, it's for all online platforms. You'll see more and more of that trend. So that means that you need to think how you lean into dynamic packages, how you lean into bundling offers, something to think about heavily. Word of caution, there's a difference between B2C and B2B. When you lean into package rates on B2B, demand transparency. You want to see where those rates are going because those are discounted rates that you want to make sure are going the right place. On B2C, I think relatively easy. But something you need to pay attention to because this is a very growing segment you don't want to miss on that train. Last, I want to show you, this is fascinating for me. Actually, as an online travel agency, we look at repeat rates all the time. But that's not something we typically look at, the repeat rates to a destination. And again, you don't see the global numbers, but you see the increase. The green bubbles are the increase year over year. And what I want to tell you is that the amount of travelers going to all sorts of Asian destinations, Asians going to Asian destinations repeat a lot more than you think. But, and I'll show you in a second, if you gave them a good experience, especially the first time. You see that in this chart, places like Japan, Malaysia, Korea, they enjoy a lot of repeat and an increased share of customers that are not coming for the first time. They're coming for the second and the third and going for secondary city, etc. And I predict that will happen more and more in India. At the moment, India doesn't get that much. And if anything, the repeat rates is shrinking. And the question is why? So here's my hypothesis. And here's my hypothesis comes with a reason for optimism. So, and that comes with a story. You know, when we look at Agoda, people calling our customer support, we are asking them to rate the experience. How was your experience with Agoda? We give them a 1 to 5 scale, where 3 means okay, 4 is great, 5 is stellar, 2 is not so good, and 1 is horrible, right? The difference in repeat for new customers between 3 and 5 is small, 5%. So yes, if I can get a 5 from 3, they'll repeat 5% more, which is significant, but not that much. The difference between 3 and 2 is minus 20%. And the difference between 3 and 1 is minus 30%. What am I trying to say? When a customer comes, Indian hospitality is amazing. Once you step into the hotel, then nowhere else in the world will you get that service. Yes, you're shooting for the 5. The question is how many times do they get this 2 and 1? And it can be on the ride to the hotel, right? So if the ride was horrible, it can be on the line in the airport. All of those components need to be at least a 3, I can tell you that one of the scariest rides I had in my life, my team knows that they're sitting here somewhere, I took a ride from Jaipur to Delhi. There was a new, you know that you have a new highway, so I wanted to test it. Actually, apparently they took me through the old highway. That was probably the mistake. But I served in the military. I took a few very scary rides in my life. I can tell you that ride was like amongst the scariest I've done in my whole life. I'm never doing it again. I can tell you I'm definitely not bringing my family to take that ride, right? That's a clear 2 or 1 for me. You don't want that. So what I'm trying to say, it's not enough that you get a 5 or a 4 at the hotel. That doesn't matter that much. You need to not have 2s anywhere. And I think that's something that I think the Indian government understands, the Indian hospitality sector understands. And hopefully when it's solved, when there's 3s all along, then that's where you start seeing those repeat rates climbing up. So just to sum up, being in India, you're in the right place. You know that. I mean, you don't need me to tell you that. The amount of investment in infrastructure, in attractions, in online, the amount of tech, you're definitely, we're born or chose the right place to live in at this point in time. But there is still a lot to be done. And my advice to you will be as much as you can, as a country and as hotel owners, remove friction. That's one thing that I'll tell you. Lean into online, that's where the travel in. We talked about Gen AI. Your partners needs to be the ones that are the best in the world in Gen AI because this is the future. And ask the question what it can do for you. Realize that your travelers are not the same traveler, especially the Asian one. They come from different places and you need to give them a better attention, specific attention, if you want them to come. Otherwise, they'll go somewhere else. Offer and lean into bundling and package because this is what's going on. This is where the travelers are. And as much as you can, it's actually more important not to give 2s, not to give the 2 experience than to give the 5 experience, and I think it's counterintuitive sometimes in India. So that's something for you all to think about. And with that, I'll finish. Thank you very much.